continue with chapter number 3 from your history book of grade 8, and the name of the chapter is The Age of Revolution. And today we are going to start from the birth of United States of America. The end, or you can say the war ended in 1781 with the defeat of the British forces. Now, in 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed between the British government and the colonists. According to the treaty, the British government recognized the independence of the 13 colonies which came to be known as the United States of America. In about 200 years, the United States of America transformed itself into the most powerful country in the world. It is the unchallenged supreme power in the world today. The 4th of July is celebrated as American Independence Day, result of American War of Independence. The American War of Independence ended British rule in the American colonies and led to the emergence of United States of America. A written constitution was framed. A federal democratic republic government was set up. A new government guaranteed to all its citizens the rights to freedom of speech, press, religion, and justice under the law. The country would be ruled by the elected president, who would govern according to their laws written down in the constitution and not according to his personal whims and fancies. That means according to his personal will. In 1789, George Washington was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States of America has served as the model and an inspiration of several countries, including India. The framers of Indian Constitution adopted various features like the federal form of government. Okay, what is the federal form of government? That is, the government will be having central government, the state government. Okay, the powers will be divided into different levels. Federal government. The incorporation of the fundamental rights like American Bill of Rights, and the system of checks and balances. Checks and balances means where one organ is keeping a check on the other organ, that organ is not doing any kind of, you can say, unconstitutional work. Okay, this is checks. So this keeps the balance of the power. No organ can become supreme. Next comes the French Revolution. The French Revolution in 1789 was a milestone and a major turning point of human history. It revolutionized, or you can say it brought a revolution in the social, economic, and political fabric, not only in France, but to all the European and subsequently to almost the entire world. What was the causes of the French Revolution? An unequal, unjust social order. To understand the nature of this momentous event, we must examine the feature of the ancient regime, the then existing Federal Society of France. The Federal Society of that time, or you can say the French Society of that time, can be divided into 3 main classes, which they are calling states. The first state was the clergy people, those who were belonging, or you can say the church officials. The second state consisted of the nobles and their families. And the third state was composed of 95% of the population. It included the peasants, the artisans, the workers, and the middle class. This was almost, you can say, 95% of the population, including the doctors, lawyers, okay, businessmen, teachers, all were coming into this third estate. The first and the second state enjoyed numerous privileges. They owned particularly all the land in France but did not have to pay any kind of taxes. They were being very wealthy and led comfortable and luxurious life. The third estate, on the other hand, shouldered the entire burden of taxation, but was not entitled to any of the privileges enjoyed by the clergy and the nobles. Taxes were imposed on everything, including basic necessities like salt. Life was very hard, especially for the poor peasants, poor farmers, who had to pay additional taxes to the feudal lords, that means to the zamindars. They were paying separate taxes. Growing power of the middle class. The French merchants, traders, manufacturers, lawyers, doctors, teachers, and the professionals had acquired great wealth and became economically powerful in the 18th century. However, they were denied social equality and political rights. This caused a great resentment among them. They used their economic power and overthrew this ancient regime, that means this division. They overthrew this division. Influence of new ideas. From here we will get the new ideas. Okay, what are the new ideas that French Revolution brought? The revolutionary writings and ideas of great political philosophers like Voltaire, Rousseau, Montesquieu created an intellectual ferment in France. The middle class was greatly inspired by the revolutionary ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity, and popular sovereignty. You can say this was the slogan. Okay, this was the slogan of the French Revolution: liberty, equality, fraternity, and popular sovereignty. Through their writing, the philosophers expressed the evil of French society and government and inspired the people to revolt, that means to fight, okay, for their right against this unjust. Next, an autocratic absolute monarch. The French king was an autocrat. That means he was having a total power, absolute power. He enjoyed absolute power and his will was law. There was no check on his power by any parliament. Okay, he ruled by divine rights. That means he became the representative of God on earth. So nobody could question him whatever he said. He ruled by divine rights and was answerable to God and not to the people. Ineffective, or you can say inefficient or corrupt administration. The administration was corrupt and inefficient. The officials were selfish and unconcerned about the welfare of the people. Now, King Louis XVI was pleasure loving. He loved pleasure, okay, and extravagant. He was completely ignorant of and indifferent about the sufferings of the common people. Okay, and he was greatly influenced by his beautiful and ambitious wife, Maria Antoinette. Together, they wasted money on festivals and pleasures and emptied the royal treasury. The economic bankruptcy, that means they were not having any more money with them, this is called bankruptcy, was further aggravated by French involvement in useless wars against England. The rich, privileged classes, which could afford to pay taxes, continued to exempt from it, while the poor were crushed under heavy taxation. Influence of American Revolution, we will find upon this French Revolution also. The French generals and soldiers who had fought in the American Revolution returned to France with revolutionary ideas and inspiration. They inspired the people to fight against their unjust, despotic government. The success of the American revolutionaries enthusiasted the French people and encouraged them to rebel, that means to fight against the present government.